Shaun Cassidy wanted to make the Hardy Boys about police brutality, drug abuse, and real trauma. The network shut him down. So, he smiled for the cameras and played the role everyone wanted. But in 1981, something broke inside him. Had disappeared for 40 years. When he finally came back, he turned down $15 million to reboot the show. He said the scripts were too childish. Then fans started finding strange clues hidden in the original episodes. Shadows, newspaper clippings, signs of psychological damage. The question nobody asked until now, what was her ally trying to say? Shaun Cassidy was born on September 27, 1958 in Los Angeles. He was 1 month overdue and doctors had to perform a cesarean to bring him into the world. His parents were both famous. His mother, Shirley Jones, had won an Oscar. His father, Jack Cassidy, was a Broadway star. But what the public never saw was the chaos waiting at home. Jack wasn't just moody, he was mentally ill, suffering from bipolar disorder and drinking heavily. He could be funny 1 minute and frightening the next. Sometimes he'd be found walking around naked, even watering the lawn in broad daylight. One time he sat quietly in the corner of a room and whispered that he was Jesus. It wasn't a joke. It was real. And Shaun saw all of it. When Shaun was just 16, Jack had to be put in psychiatric care for 48 hours after another breakdown. Shaun grew up with furniture being smashed, arguments that lasted all night, and the constant fear that something worse could happen. He also had to live in the shadow of his older half-brother, David Cassidy. David was 8 years older and already a global sensation by the early 1970s. Between 1970 and 1974, David made $8 million and got around $25,000 fan letters every week. At home, Shaun felt invisible. Even though Shirley was his real mom, she played David's mother on The Partridge Family, and it felt like David was getting more attention on screen than Shaun ever got in real life. By 2025, Shaun admitted that David never gave him advice when he became famous. He said David was at a low point in his own career and couldn't bring himself to enjoy Shaun's success. That jealousy made every family dinner feel like walking on glass. Shaun learned to hide his wins just to keep peace in the house. By the 1960s, the Cassidy family moved into a mansion in Beverly Hills. It sounded glamorous, but for Shaun, it was a nightmare. He went to elite private schools where kids mocked him every day. They made fun of his mom, called her roles in musicals like Oklahoma corny and fake, and told dirty jokes about her that cut deep. One day at lunch, they sang a twisted version of "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning," while making obscene gestures. He felt sick and humiliated. Even though he went to school with future stars like Nicolas Cage and Lenny Kravitz, Shaun stayed isolated. The bullying turned into a quiet hatred for everything Hollywood stood for. Both kept going. Everything changed on December 12, 1976. Shaun was just 18 when his father, Jack, died in a fire. He had been drinking that night. A cigarette fell onto the couch and the flames spread fast through his apartment in West Hollywood. Firefighters arrived at 6:15 a.m. They found Jack's body near the door. He had tried to crawl out, but didn't make it. He died from smoke and burns all over his body. For hours, no one even knew who he was. He was labeled John Doe number 257 until dental records and a melted gold pinky ring identified him. Shaun showed up at the scene and saw the blackened walls, smelled the burnt flesh, and stood near the body bag. That melted ring became the symbol of everything his father had destroyed. His family, his future, and himself. That day never left Shaun. It later pushed him toward writing dark, emotional stories. After Jack's death, Shirley wanted Shaun to stay busy. She enrolled him in acting classes and sent him to auditions. One was for a $50,000 serial ad. He didn't get the part. The casting director said Shaun looked too sweet and couldn't pull off a rebellious vibe. He said Shaun looked like he'd never broken a rule in his life. That crushed him. His mom thought he just needed tougher training, so she put him in more aggressive classes. But deep down, Shaun knew his natural personality didn't fit the Hollywood mold. While other kids were too wild, he was told he was too good. That stuck with him for years. In 1975, when he was still in high school, Shaun signed a music deal with Curb Records under Warner Brothers. His first single, Morning Girl, came out in 1976. It didn't do well. It only hit number 40 in Germany and didn't chart in the US. People kept comparing him to David, saying he wasn't mature enough. One Warner Brothers executive even told him to sex up his image if he wanted to make it. Shaun didn't like that. It wasn't them, but he didn't give up. In 1977, everything changed. Shaun released a cover of Da Do Ron Ron. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed in the charts for 22 weeks. He was now a teen idol, but the success came at a cost. That same year, during a concert in Germany, Shaun collapsed on stage from exhaustion. He had been doing up to 200 shows in 1 year, often with only 3 or 4 hours of sleep between them. His team pushed him too hard and his body gave out in front of thousands of fans. The tour had to be paused. It was a warning that this kind of fame came with a price. Later in 1977, his self-titled album sold over 2 million copies. But fame came with fake stories, too. His managers staged fake romances and photos to sell more albums. One time they made him pose closely with a model he'd never even met. He hated it, but was told it was necessary. He was 18, but had to act like a heartthrob with a love life made for magazines. That disconnect left him feeling like a puppet. In 1978, he released another album called Under Wraps. It had a darker rock vibe and even featured a song with Brian Wilson. But fans didn't like the new style. It only reached number 33 on the Billboard chart. Critics said it was too dark and called it an awkward attempt to change. Shaun felt crushed. He had tried to grow, but no one wanted him to evolve. His bubblegum image was now a prison. Things hit a breaking point in 1979 at Madison Square Garden. While performing, fans broke past security and rushed the stage. They ripped his clothes and pulled chunks of his hair. He had a panic attack right there in front of everyone. Scratches covered his arms. After the show, he started getting death threats, letters that named his home address and mentioned his family. That moment made him think seriously about quitting music. Shaun also tried acting. In 1976, he starred in a film called Born of Water, playing a boy struggling with his father's religious beliefs. It was a serious role and different from what teen idols usually did. He played someone torn between love and fear of strict religion. It showed he wanted to do more than just sing. In 1979, he starred in another film, Like Normal People, about 2 mentally challenged adults trying to marry. He acted alongside Linda Pearl, and their performance got strong praise. It helped shine light on disability rights at a time when no one talked about it. During 1978 and 1979, he was everywhere, especially on Tiger Beat magazine covers. Those photos made him look innocent and perfect. Even though magazines didn't use. He even suggested an episode about teen alcoholism, but the network shut that down without thinking twice. ABC didn't want anything messy. They wanted clean, fun stories. Shaun kept trying. He pushed the writers to change the dialogue. He asked for deeper mysteries, but each time he was blocked. They didn't want social issues. They wanted safe stories. And that began to wear on him. The show aired its first episode on January 30, 1977. Over 20 million people watched. That kind of success was rare, but behind the camera, things weren't as smooth. The days were long, 18 hours at times. The cast was exhausted. During the first season, Shaun collapsed from dehydration after a stunt. He had to be treated on set. Everyone was pushing their limits. They worked 6 days a week on Universal Studios' Colonial Street. The pressure to keep the show going never stopped. People thought it was a wholesome, family-friendly show. But behind that image, the stress was quietly building. By 1978, things got worse. When Pamela Sue Martin came in for Nancy Drew crossover episodes, a secret came out. She was getting paid half of what Shaun was making, even though her name was just as big in the credits. She was furious. She argued with producers. She said it was unfair. Then she did something no one saw coming. She posed for Playboy magazine. The cover said Nancy Drew uncovered. ABC had no choice. That broke her contract. They had to fire her. That scandal changed everything. Her character was removed from the show entirely. The fan response was massive. Thousands of letters came to ABC every week, mostly for Shaun. Some fans were only 12 years old, writing love letters and even asking to marry him. Some letters were scary. They described his home, his routine, what he did in private. One fan even broke into his Beverly Hills house. That's when Shaun hired Gavin DeBecker. He was just 23, but already working in security. Gavin later protected stars like Jeff Bezos, but Shaun was one of his first clients. They set up security systems, watched the mail, and handled dangerous fan behavior. One girl even sent her a report card, hoping Shaun would be proud of her. By 1979, the Hardy Boys still hadn't won any big awards. That year, the Emmys gave it just 3 technical nominations. People inside the industry later said it was on purpose. They didn't take teen shows seriously. Shaun kept asking for deeper stories, things like drug abuse, teen pregnancy, and police problems. But the producers said no every time. They were more focused on keeping advertisers happy than letting Shaun grow as an actor. It was clear his vision didn't match theirs. So by the end of 1978 he started thinking about moving away from acting. He wanted more control. He wanted to write, to produce, to finally explore the side of himself that was always hidden. The second season didn't go well. Ratings